1. Ahora sí, papá. 3, 2, 1. El arte de esperar. Vemos un hombre bajo la lluvia. Viene con él de la mano una sombrilla que le protege del agua. Viste de traje limpio y un reloj que asoma de su manga causa un efecto magnético que lo hace inclinar su cabeza para así experimentar esa sensación de intriga, desespero, desesperanza y deseo de paciencia. Son las 8 de la noche. Las noches nubladas en medio de una ciudad son ecosistemas distintos a los nuestros, que pasan por un lado. Para quienes han crecido en ciudades donde la lluvia es un escenario constante, ese peculiar ruido del agua y del guardafango que vuelve todo más colmo resuena constante. Pasa la gente por enfrente de él, que inmutable deja la rutina del reloj y la mirada para asomar su fe entre la multitud, como queriendo transformar el rostro de algún extraño en el deseoso ser. Pareciera que entre más gente camine por su lugar, la espera se acortara. Rápidamente observa y sonríe, mueve su cabeza y en distintos puntos, en direcciones distintas, nada sucede. Se encuentra ahora en medio de la nada. Su rostro se transforma en una masa insatisfecha. El semáforo de la avenida cambia a verde y una motoneta lo abandona. Y no más que una calle mojada. La punta de su pie golpea con el ritmo las gotas del pavimento. El reloj ya no es suficiente. Ahora observa a la izquierda, a la derecha, transmutando su cuello en una especie de materia moldable, su cuerpo en catarsis. Ahora un movimiento extraño cambia la escénica de la observación. Su mano derecha transporta aquel paraguas transparente. Saca con la izquierda un paquete blanco de cigarrillos. Observa las laredas de nuevo, y su rostro tiene una aura de borde de cinismo. Sus pulmones se llenan de humo, y exhala con fuerza una gran nube blanca casi infinita. Un nuevo blanco de peces, caminando por la acera, se acerca. Apaga de inmediato aquel interminable tabaco para repetir su epifanía. Observé durante 5 minutos a nuestro hombre que esperaba. Presencié una gran cantidad de acciones en este lapso de tiempo hasta que en el minuto 6, con 2 milésimas inexactas, dentro de un grupo de gente en ese vaivén de búsqueda y reconocimiento, aquel ingrato abandonó su posición para felizmente abrazar a otro hombre que caminaba detrás de la barrera humana. En ese mismo lapso, tomé una taza de café y escribí este comienzo que me ha llevado a querer entender la mediática acción del desesperar. Si bien nos hemos acostumbrado a tener todo presto, me gustaría expresar que me siento un tanto avergonzado de aceptar que formo de parte tan simpleza del conformismo colectivo. El mundo ya no se esfuerza, ya no se cree que se sea necesario. La inmediatez en la que vivimos, esa misma que nos hace tener en cuestión de segundos todo al alcance de nuestra mano, la de los restaurantes de comida rápida, los envíos de paquetería, los mensajes instantáneos y las respuestas a todas nuestras incógnitas con millones de verdades. Ya lo decía el filósofo alemán Heidegger, una mentira repetida constantemente se vuelve una verdad, que vuelve todo más desechable, fugaz, convirtiendo la trascendencia en algo del pasado. Lo pasajero nos toma en esta nueva realidad donde nada se disfruta como se merece. Lo veo como una acción acelerada y sin sentido. El Internet drena nuestras ideas. Escribimos todo lo que pensamos, capturamos todo lo que vemos, compartimos todo lo que creemos con obligación casi instintiva. Producir y producir sin tener en cuenta la calidad y el progreso de la ideología, el fin, el motivo. En comparación, nos hemos convertido en una fábrica tercermundista que produce masivamente con el único propósito de satisfacer y enriquecer el comportamiento oficioso de unos pocos. El arte que tomaba semanas y hasta años es ahora un arte desechable que obliga al artista a producir en contra del reloj. La velocidad de un feed de Instagram o Facebook, la nueva novedad de los millones multiplicados por 2. A todas esas especulaciones que nacieron el día de hoy y que forman parte de una rama muy larga y delgada del árbol prohibido, esa misma que acelera la imaginación con la oscura idea sin sentido, ese mismo sentido que transmuta en la realidad del Quijote. Poetas, pintores, músicos, escultores, genios de la mecánica y el ajedrez, matemáticos y escritores, sean bienvenidos a este su espacio, a esta su casa. Clandestino Course, un podcast dedicado a exportar el arte temeroso y local del estado de Washington y México. Mi nombre, Ulises Navarro, el poeta dragón, quien durante esta hora nos estará acompañando con algunos de nuestros invitados elocuentes. Recuerden también checar que Clandestino Course es un colectivo con con el colectivo Pata de Perro de la ciudad de Tonalá. El día de hoy me gustaría presentar a uno de los invitados de la localidad del estado de Washington. Localmente se le conoce como Washingtonians por las cabezas grandes y el poco cerebro. No se crean, es una broma local. Pero sí, I want to say thank you. I want to say welcome to this local artist. He's a Mexican poet, rapper, and he's a musician also. He's a singer. All my friends from Guadalajara, all my friends from Tri-Cities, let me say welcome to Travis. Travis, thank you for being here.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for listening to my poetry.
I love it, dude. I love that poem. We get to talk about that poem, right?
Of course.
Awesome.
If my translation was good, I think we're gonna like have a really good talk about it. And I wanna say thank you for being here again. Like really, I'm really happy to have you like in my second, third. You're my third guest, so
awesome.
it's really cool.
Dope.
Like giving more opportunities to local artists. I love this because it's my purpose. Like my purpose of life is helping others.
Mm-hmm.
So for all the people there, for toda mi gente de Guadalajara, for all the people from Mexico and everybody, how is to be an artist in Tri-Cities? How is to be an artist in Tri-Cities?
In Tri-Cities, we really need to do things ourselves because there aren't a lot of platforms here. Like, if you live in Seattle, for example, where it's a little bigger, there's a little more people, and you're a rapper, for example, you can find a photographer, you can find a manager, you can find someone to help you book your shows, you know, you can find a lot of people who make beats. And one thing that's different about artists in the Tri-Cities is there are so few resources like that. Everybody's figuring out how to do things themselves. So you got rappers out here that are also photographers and event managers and producers and DJs and everything else you have to be, you know, to put music out, because we got to figure it out because we don't have the resources like that or the community size like that. So like me, I started off battle rapping, but there were no rap battles happening out here, so I had to just create a rap battle league just to be able to battle on. You know, or you got like a kid named Lebo out here, he's like 22 I think, makes all of his beats and records his own stuff because there's not that many beat makers out here, you know, that are good to work with.
So did you start this new thing here, like rap battles and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that was like 2016, let me think, maybe even 2014, wow, it was 2014 actually, it was that long ago. I was watching rap battles on YouTube like the one I just showed you, and how do you say it in Spanish?
Se llama Batalla de los Gallos.
Yeah.
Like roster battle.
Yeah, and we didn't have any out here. So I'm watching them on YouTube. I was like, I want to do that. But it's not like I can just go to the local rap battle store and do rap battles. You know, it doesn't exist. So I just posted on Facebook. I was like, who wants to rap battle? And we set it up. And then we showed up in rap battle and people just came and watched. And we kept doing that. I kept doing that with other opponents until there was enough people who wanted to watch it that we started throwing rap battle events, you know? So I have to be the event organizer, you know, and sign the sponsors and host the event and find the talent and do everything and battle because we have to create our own platform in the Tri-Cities.
That's really cool, interesting. Like, how old are you right now, brother? 26, you
26,
told me? 26.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for a long time, huh?
Yeah, the first battle, 2014, I would have been 19? Yeah, so 7 years I've been battling.
I've been living here in Tri-Cities. People is something like a little bit like, not all of them are open-minded to this kind of situation, kind of art and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
How your parents and your family and your friends, like all the people, look this from like how they watch?
So my family situation is unique. I have my mom and dad I both know, but I was also adopted when I was in high school because I ended up without a place to live. So I kind of have my two parents and then some additional family, you know, that I found myself. So my dad, like my actual dad, he doesn't really get it. Like he does try to be supportive, but he doesn't like rap music. He doesn't like the idea that I'm doing rap battles and being disrespectful to other people. Even if we were donating the money to charity and like we did a lot of positive things with battle rap, but he just sees it being disrespectful and he doesn't really get it. And then the music, you know, he'll listen to my music, but it sounds new. Like I really like auto-tune, you know, he does not like auto-tune, so it just sounds kind of weird to him. And then my mom is super supportive, 100%. she would come to the rap battles and everything and really enjoy them and get into it. And then the adoptive parents also very, very supportive. Just wanted to, but part of the reason everybody was so supportive is that whatever I was doing, I always did something positive with too. Like if I was doing rap battles, we'd donate the money to charity, or we would use it as an opportunity to like mentor kids, and like, hey, you guys can rap too. We'll teach you how. So it's like, so that's how I always got support. It was like, hey, we're doing something good with this, so support it.
That's cool. What is the purpose of that from you? Like, what is you feed?
Well, I had something I wanted to get off my chest, and I think it's a lot of it is just the competitive instinct that we all have, especially men. We want to compete with peers in some way. And I didn't do sports in high school. I don't know, I didn't really hang out in that crowd. I went to an alternative school, not a big school. So I think I needed to get that out of my system, like be able to compete with people. And I love to argue. I love to rhyme. I love public speaking. I love to be funny. So everything about battle rap is just really, really, really entertaining and satisfying to me.
That's really cool, man. Art. Rap is art. I love rap, man. Like, I grew up listening a lot of like, rock and roll and stuff like that. But when I was 16, 17, I find this kind of gangster rap, like you find like Ice Cube,
Right.
Clown. I found MC Hammer, kind of that stuff that was really old but really cool. But also in Spanish, we got really good rappers like KCO from Spain, Nacho from Spain too. We got like from Mexico, a couple like Cartel de Santa, stuff like that. Is really cool, man. Like most of the things that I like about rap is because I like poetry, and like those poets from the streets, I would say like that,
Right.
like that. Like they got these issues in the family. They got this kind of pain. They have this ideology of political situations, social issues. So they just turn everything in words, and they put a beat on it, and they make people feel something.
Right.
So I really love it. And
now it's evolved to the point where anybody in any genre does a little bit of rapping. Even like country singers or rock singers or whatever, they're starting to be more rhythmic with their lyrics. And there's rap has now influenced every genre, to be more rhythmic and more lyrical and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool because they are open more for like this kind of like, they're open to any kind of art, like fusion and mix everything. So it's really cool.
And nobody can say that they don't understand what it's like on the streets because of rap.
That's true.
Nobody's like, no, I've never heard a story from Compton. I have no idea what's going on in Compton. No, you've heard the fucking songs on the radio.
Yeah.
Can we cuss?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Because you've heard the songs on the radio, so you know what's going on. And they these people from the streets that invented rap refused to be misunderstood, and they said this is exactly what it's like out here, and now the whole world knows.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, like, I know about the Bronx too, kind of like being in Mexico, it's true. About that kind of like places. Overthink, and I wanna point this about like the introduction that I just get.
Yeah.
I was like with this man waiting on the rain. I was like with this person just being desperate to wait a little bit of time. What do you think about like those artists or those persons? They are really like. Start to the social media. We see a lot of talented people in social media, Instagram, Facebook, and you got talent, and you feel so, I don't know, pushy. It's pushing you to like go faster to create something to get in the point that you can be like them. What do you think about this right now? Like social media and art is going like in the wrong way right now.
Well, I do not think it's going the wrong way at all. I think it's going exactly the right way because, like, 20 years ago, to be a successful artist, you had to sign a contract with somebody who had enough money to get you exposure because the amount of channels that you could use to get exposure were so few that the demand on them was so high that if you didn't have a multi-million-dollar recording contract, you were not going to be distributed, period. It was not going to happen, You could like ragtag together some cassettes, and then try to hand them out of your trunk or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you did not have a contract with someone with a lot of money, you were not going to be heard. And now all of that power has been taken away from those millionaires and billionaires and handed to everybody. I bought this phone for $150 and I can connect with the whole world on this. So all the power has been taken away from the extremely wealthy when it comes to who has a platform and who doesn't. You know, like for example, if you watch a lot of news, like news on the TV, a lot of it's nonsense, right? Like they're just, both sides, you know, are just selling nonsense. But people aren't watching the news there anymore. They're watching the news on podcasts. You know, they're listening to just people that they like Joe Rogan. And so the fact that everybody on social media has direct access to the world is a really, really good thing. But a negative consequence, which I think you're talking about, is people treat social media like some kind of shortcut to fame. And so instead of doing something really mindful or conscious with it, they do the first thing that they think can get them attention the fastest, you know? And those people, man, the world is going to get over them, you know, like Jake Paul and who's the one I really cannot stand, Vitaly. There's a YouTube pranker that really famous in the US, Vitaly, and he's just a complete douchebag, you know? He just does the stupidest pranks on YouTube he can, and they're all fake. And he has a chick with a big ass in every single one. And the content is just garbage. That shit people are going to get over and stop watching, you know? And great, mindful, conscious, thoughtful content will get more and more popular. But I think social media is going in absolutely the right direction, you know? But it's just rocky on the way, I feel.
What about passions?
What about passions?
What about be patient? You know, like wait and create, to tell people don't rush. Take your time, create your fate. What do you can say about it? Like,
well, you know, you mentioned before we started recording, you mentioned that you have the patience of a turtle, and it reminded me of the slow and steady wins the race story. You know, with the tortoise and the hare, with the turtle and the rabbit.
And the rabbit.
Yeah, and what's really true about that story is that you can make it farther in life by not rushing. And the reason that's true, that you can make it farther in life than not rushing, is that you got to play a long game, not a short game. You know, how can I get the most Instagram followers by next week? That's a short game. That's an ignorant, foolish, stupid, immature game with social media. How can I get the most followers next week? But how can I take my time and become the greatest, most authentic artist that I can possibly be? That's a long game. So you got one guy, you know, who spends 10 years getting as many followers as he can, and by the end of it, everyone realizes he's just a douchebag. You know, they don't want to watch anymore. You got another guy who spends 10 years, you know, focusing on himself, straightening himself out, becoming the best artist he can be, and when he's ready to present himself to the world, you know, he has a huge platform because of the work he's put in on himself. So, like, that's what's true about that story. And so the people who are just using social media to feed their ego and get followers today, they're here one day and they're gone the next. You know, they pop up every day. People go viral and disappear every single day. But then there's great artists like Kendrick, you know. Kendrick hasn't put out an album in 5 years and he's still one of the greatest on the planet. Because he's so good. Whenever he does choose to drop an album, everyone's going to be like, we know Kendrick, he takes his time, it's going to be great art, you know?
Yeah, I feel you.
So we got to be like Kendrick and just take our time.
Kendrick, is your like the person you follow to, like how do you say this in
like
English?
my idol.
Your idol?
No, he's just the best example of patience I can think of. He is one of my idols, but his music doesn't resonate with me that much. Like, his music's obviously incredible, like revolutionarily incredible, you know, the music that he makes, but he's not my personal like favorite rapper. But he's just so good at patience. Like, for him to go the past, it might be 4 years, but I think 5 years without putting out an album, that's so difficult, you know. Like, guys like Drake are so hungry for attention that if they don't put out a song,
I don't like that guy.
Yeah, and I love Drake. Like, I like Drake's music a lot more than Kendrick's music, actually. But Drake is someone who is such an attention whore that if he doesn't put out a song in 3 months, he's like, everyone's gonna forget about me. I need to put out more music. And he'll just drop something even if it's not that good. And Kendrick's like, I don't care. I'll make a masterpiece. I don't care if it takes me 20 years. I'll be chilling. You know, God's got me. I'm gonna just sit here and make a masterpiece. So Kendrick is smarter, you know. I like Drake's music better than Kendrick's because, you know, I just happen to like his music, but I would rather be like Kendrick.
It's this thing about him, like I pause and I exist. I don't exist, you know, like I have to be there all the time doing something, because if that don't happen like that, it's like I'm not anymore alive.
I'm worth nothing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's that like a fear for everybody right now too, you know. No, just like
Like, you know that if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did it really fall? You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Drake's thought is, if there's no one here to see me, I don't exist. You know, and Kendrick's is, me and God can exist by ourselves. I can exist alone with God and I still exist. You know, I'm still valid. You know, I still matter. I'm still worth something. And Drake's worldview is, if nobody's looking at me, I'm useless. I need to entertain everybody every single day. So
it's gonna vanish.
yeah, or I'm just gonna disappear and nothing. It's like, no, you can sit there for a year. We probably won't even notice. You know, take your time, chill.
Now that you take this about God, like, give me your philosophy about God. What is your philosophy about it?
Well, I'm a Christian. You know, I'm a huge fan of Jesus.
Okay.
But my favorite descriptions of God don't come from Christianity, because I feel that so many Christians misunderstand God so much and only use God for their own benefit. You know, when they feel that talking about God benefits them, they will, and when they don't, they don't. But my favorite descriptions of God come from the Chinese philosophy Taoism.
Taoism.
Yeah,
Okay.
Taoism is, I think, my religion personally is to follow Jesus, not to follow Christians, but to follow Jesus. But my favorite descriptions of God are in Taoism, because in Taoism they say, like, there are no words that can describe the Tao, you know, that, and so whatever words I use to describe God are just fingers pointing at something that I can never actually describe. You know, I could point at it from the left, and then I could point at it from the right, and you could try to think about what would be between there that you could never describe, but you cannot describe God. There's no way to do it. But I could try, and I could say God is the beginning of time and the end of time. You know, so it's like the whole universe is like a little baby that God threw up in the air, you know, and we're just waiting for God to catch us again.
Yeah.
He's the one that threw us and the one that's going to catch us. So he's the beginning of time and the end of time. So God is but God is also the whole universe. But God is also outside of the universe, you know. God's not male or female. God is life itself. And so I don't like to be like, I don't like to pretend that I can describe God, you know? I can think about God to some extent. I can try to experience God when I'm by myself and I have no distractions, but there's really no words for God, which the Taoists get. The Taoists understand that. There's no words for God. I don't think the Christians understand that. You know, they try to describe God all the time, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, like institutions and religions are really like, they have different purpose of you know, the what they do in about God and everything. I get that. I mean, it's respectable. I respect every religion, because sometimes I think like it's necessary to have religions to people can, or it's a little bit of the how the actions, everything like that. No, not all the time, because they take like they're fanatics or radicals, so you know, like they take one side and just follow that side, and they don't believe it, they don't change. That's what I like, more philosophy than like the religion, you know.
Yeah.
But you just remind me, you were talking about this, and I just remind something that I heard a couple years ago. I was going to this place in Oregon. It's like Salem. It's like down to Salem. I think I don't remember. I just picked it up my friend Donna. Like she's like my sister, my best friend. And I was driving. And for one reason, I have this talk with my mom. You know, I was with my mom, and it's really funny, because I was feeling it right now. I was like, oh, this doing what I feel that moment. My mom started to argue with me, blah, 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 blah. You know, normal argue, moms, and like, why you doing that? Why you doing this? Because blah, blah. And I was like, well, mom, because I changed all day. Like, but you don't trust, and what about like you pray, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, what I think about God, and God is with me all the time, and I'm with God, and I'm like, I'm not God, because I understand like we cannot be God, but we can be part of God, you know. So I tell her like, mom, I can say today that I believe in God in this way, but tomorrow I'm gonna believe another way, because all the time my mind creates different things and believe different things.
Yeah.
So I cannot be sure in some certain thing one day, because maybe in 3 hours more, something that I see in the view is gonna change my mind about everything, you know.
Yeah.
And I was you said the same. I'm not like capable to understand that 100% and describe and say what is exactly God. And it's so beautiful, because you describe it in different way, but I feel the same. And it's so beautiful how, like, you know, minds work with different persons. That's really cool.
Well, it's kind of like being in love with a person. Like my girlfriend Brooke, you know, I see I see sides of her all the time that I don't recognize and that catch me off guard. And if every time I saw a new side of Brooke, I went, wait, this isn't the Brooke that I know. Stop. I want the Brooke that I knew, you know. If I did that, I would fall out of love with her, you know. I would just forget that this is a human being, you know.
Yeah.
But if every time I see a new side of Brooke, I fall in love with her again, you know, then our relationship can stay dynamic and healthy and alive and conscious. And it's the same thing with God. You know, God isn't changing. We're changing around God, you know. God's in the center and we're orbiting around God. And so every time we grow and change, we see a different side of God, which is an opportunity to fall in love with life again, you know, again, every single day. Like, oh, I see life from one more perspective today. I just fell in love with life again. That's crazy. I just fell in love with life yesterday. Now I fell in love with life again today. And the only way to have that sort of relationship with being, or that relationship with God, is to let go of everything you know about God, you know, every single day, and just experience it all over again, just like a person.
Understand everything is different all the time. Like every day is different, and everything can change, right?
Yeah.
That's so beautiful, man. That's a good words, good understanding of that point, and it's beautiful. Hello to Brooke. She's gonna maybe listen to, huh? She's a good poet. Don't let she have you to do good poetry.
Yeah, she writes awesome poetry.
I love poetry. Man, tell me about your show. The last you have a show, right? And like a couple weeks ago, you have a performance, right? How you feel when you are performing? What is the feeling that you got right there when you are at the stage?
So I just did 2 shows. One of them was not fun, and one of them was. So the first one, this was the first show that we have a music venue, a place where we perform out here called Uptown Theater, and it was the first show that they had done in over a year because everything's been shut down. So they asked us if we would be willing to be the first to perform, and so we did. And we only got like 20 people to come. Everybody was sitting in chairs all spaced out, like. It was, and we were just standing in front of them performing, and they're just sitting in chairs like this watching us, and it was very awkward.
Like,
and yeah.
No movement at all.
No move. Well, because they were socially distanced, so they couldn't.
Okay.
You know, they're just sitting in chairs, and it was a huge room with like 25 people in it, so it was very awkward. And also, I had been making music a lot. You know, over the lockdown, I've made a lot of music, but I never thought about having to perform the music. I always just thought about making it sound good in the studio while we were recording. So I did that show, and I thought, okay, that was not fun because it didn't sound the way I wanted, because I've only been practicing making it sound good in the studio. I haven't been practicing the live performance part. And the socially distanced thing for a concert doesn't work with the kind of music I make. Because as an MC, as a rapper, you're orchestrating the whole environment. You're orchestrating the whole vibe. You get everybody's attention. You interact with the crowd. As an MC, you're controlling the energy of the room. And if people are just seated like it's an orchestra, then you can't do that. You know, you can't pull them in like that. And so the day after that show, I thought, that sucked. I hated that. I want to do it different. I want to do it better. So I wrote 4 brand new songs. And the next day I met with another venue, and I said, I did a show last night and it sucked for this and this reason. I want to do it better. I want to do it different. Let's do a show. So it was this other venue that was smaller. So I wrote 4 brand new songs, and I wrote them so that they would sound good live and they would be fun. And we did a beach themed party with decorations and everything, and I wrote like beachy fun songs. And and Brooke prepared a new set too. And so we did the next show, and instead of 20 people, it was like 70 people. And it was fun, and we had drinks, and we decorated everything, and my set sounded exactly the way I wanted to. So at the first show, I felt anxious and uncomfortable, like this is not going the way I wanted it to go. Okay. At the second show, I felt very loose, very confident, and I was just having fun, and just there just to entertain everybody and make sure everybody had a great time.
That's really cool. So in that moment when you don't have the control of what is happening, like, how do you get over that?
I just ignore them and just pretend I'm doing my songs by myself. You know, if like I just pretend I'm performing in my room. If it's a show where nobody's really paying attention and it's not really going that well, and I know it, and in my head I'm going, okay, this is not going the way I wanted, then I just check out and I just perform as if I'm just performing alone in my room. But if everyone's into it and having a good time, I don't perform like I'm alone in my room. I perform like I'm performing to them. Like, hello, I'm here to entertain you. I'm doing this for you. Like, I want you to have a great time watching me. I want to make you laugh. I want to impress you. I want to make you move. You know, I want to engage you and to make sure that you leave like feeling really inspired and entertained.
What inspired you? What is the things that inspire you?
It's hard to put my finger on, because I think that the best art isn't really for a specific reason, you know. It's just art just to do art. I think that's like the most like the best thing that you can do, like to go back to God, for example. Like, nothing validates or justifies God besides God, you know. Like, the purpose of life is life, you know. The purpose of God is God. The purpose of art is art. And so I make songs just because it really feels right to make songs. And lately I try not to overthink my purpose for doing it, or my agenda or goal for doing it, and I just do it because it feels right.
Okay, so when you get an idea of a song, it's because you're feeling this is the right thing to do it, not because you are just creating for create, right?
Yeah, I don't really know why I'm creating. I just am, you know. I know that it's enjoyable. I know that it's healthy because of the way it allows me to express things. I know it's good for other people because it inspires and entertains them. And I hope that it's good for the world, because I try to make music that's honest, you know. And I try to make music that's not putting on a front. Like the last songs, me and Brooke were fighting, and so I wrote songs about the fact that me and Brooke were fighting. We had also just gone on an awesome trip to LA, so I wrote songs about our awesome trip to LA. But it was all very in the moment, sincere expression, and I think that's good for the world, to express yourself honestly.
Of course.
So
And
it's
good
not
for you.
it's not bad for anybody, and I feel like it, so I just do it.
You know, to know that one of the purpose too for art is like when you got too much stuff on yourself, you know, to help you to like get freedom, you know, like there's some kind of freedom in art, and I believe like most of us do that because we want to get over things. We want to like liberate stuff that we got stuck in the heart or the soul, you know, maybe like that. That for me works, you know. Like for me works like I write poetry because sometimes I like, oh, I don't feel good, but I don't want to explode on people. So what I do, and it's other thing funny. Like I want to talk about my family again. Like a couple like months ago, I was like drinking with my friends and everything, and my uncle called me like, hey, why are you writing this? And I was writing a poem, you know. I do write poems sometimes, and I just like pass it around, like boom. That's what I think that I do. Is my fun thing. Why you write that? Why you did it? Like, what is it like? You are so sad all the time. Why are you so sad all the time? Like, I'm so sad, I'm so happy, I'm with my friends, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, bro, the thing that you post, your poem is so sad. It's depressing. Like, you all the time post depressing things. And I tell her, yeah, because I left my depression and the lyrics, and I keep alive happiness, you know?
Yeah.
So people is like, oh, this guy is so sad. It's so depressing. It's so like, I don't know. And like, and the point of me to create is like, take all that feelings, take all the bad stuff out, put it there on my lyrics, and some people feel identified, so they don't feel alone, you know?
Right.
So this is one of the purpose that I got sometimes, and I think it's cool, like, from you, like, maybe one of the things too is that you say you have a fight with her and you write about it, and you maybe you don't like fight more, you stop to you start to think different, you know.
Yeah, no,
like
it was constructive. Yeah,
exactly,
I wrote the songs and I sat down and performed them for her. You know, I sat down with her in her living room, and I said, you know, we've been off, and this is what I wrote about it. These are my songs, and this is how I feel.
It's so
and it was very healing and constructive. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I wrote this song to say screw you. It was like, I wrote this song to say, you know, don't be too hard on me because I don't deserve that. I want to fall in love with you over and over again. You know, if we're not vibing, tell me because I'll fix it because this matters to me. It's saying things that like, it also hits harder when you sing it. You know, when you sing it and you rhyme it and your emotion is behind it, it sounds more, I don't know, convincing, like you're saying it with your whole self rather than just speaking it, and it's a good way to communicate.
And I don't know if you agree with this, but we are both men, you know, and it's hard to express ourselves being men, you know, because like I don't know if that happened to you, but like some of my country is like we have this like dicho like los hombres no lloran, like boys don't cry, you know, like you have to be like stunned, you have to like you have to like go everything like with madness and fears and everything, so you cannot cry, you cannot express yourself like a woman's does, you know. So one of the points maybe like, if I don't know, it happened to you, like when you write, you express yourself the moment like in the right direction, not just like being a irrational man, you know what I'm saying? That makes sense that I'm telling.
Yeah, because so I think where society is at now, we can express feelings now, but we still have to do it in a way that's strong. You know, even if we're expressing sadness, we still have to do it in a way that's strong. And I think like the way that we can feel our feelings as men, but still be masculine, is we have to be totally unapologetic, and we just have to say like, I'm sad about this, I feel disrespected, I feel sad, and that's the way that it is, and that's how I feel. And we still have to have our guard up a little bit, you know, because women will say, we want you to express your feelings, but if you express your feelings in a way that shows weakness, they'll just eat you alive, you know. So you really do have to have your guard up and say like, I'm sad and I have a damn right to be sad, and that is what it is, and almost like defend your own feelings, you know, like your own sadness needs you to protect it. Your own sadness needs you to be its hero and say, hey, I have a right to feel sad.
To feel vulnerable is no yet like we cannot completely feel vulnerable, you know.
No, not completely. No.
Yeah, I
and
that's
that. And it is what it is. Like, you never are completely safe. You know, this is not a safe world. You know, this is a world where if you express yourself in the wrong way, even people that are good people and that care about you and that you care about will eat you alive if you express yourself in a way that shows too much weakness.
Yeah.
And even close relationships, you know, they're a contest. You know, you're challenging each other. You know, and you're both trying to dominate each other. You're both challenging each other. You're both trying to lead in some situations. You both want your own story to be right, you know, and so your stories compete. You do have to have your guard up all the time. So I don't think we should ever think as men like, I wish I could let my guard down 100%. You know, not in this world. No.
And when you do it, they think you are like some different kind of situation, you know, like like I just can talk about me, for example, because the only person that I know perfectly is me, you know. And so when I do an example, I talk about me.
Yeah.
And another example that I got is like, I used to do another podcast, another place. I don't want to say about where and who, nothing like that. But all the time I've been me, you know. I'm really like, people say I'm girly, you know. I'm really like, I like to like be a little bit more freedom. But this guy, he said, he started to talk about me, behind me, telling like, this guy is homosexual. Like you're a maricona, faggot, you know, like stuff like that, because I like to say men, oh man, you're so beautiful. I don't have like
I call men beautiful too.
And I have to say, sometimes I use dancing, man, and like doing movements, like weird movements, and I use dancing and like changes my voice, like oh my goodness, you know, stuff like that, bro, like because I feel like I have my freedom to be who I am, you know.
Right.
But this person maybe feel comfortable with my behavior, but I don't think it was something against anybody. Just like I'm free to see who I am.
Yeah.
So he take this in the way that, okay, this guy is homosexual, blah blah. Like, man, like if I am homosexual, it's okay. He don't have to talk about it or make any like whispering about it. To everybody that, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, my sexuality doesn't have to be with my behavior or what my you know, who I am or who I act, you know.
Right.
So this is one point I say about being a man. Like people, you say you have to be a man all the time. You're strong and you. Oh man, I'm a boy and I wanna be here. Hey man, how you doing? What you doing? Hey bro.
Yeah.
Hey,
What's up, man?
What's up, man? What have to we drinking and like you fucking take it ass girl, blah blah blah. Hey, come on, man. Like, why have to be like that all the time? I'm tired to be like that, brother.
Right.
When I was in middle school and
putting on an act is exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. When I was in middle school and in high school, I used to use you know, I love the Doors. It's my favorite band. Like I grew up listening to my dad loved the Doors and Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. Freddie Mercury. So man, I grew up watching those videos of those guys, you know, making rock, being really nice and rock stars and dressing like girls, man, with nice clothes, you know. And I used to like to do that. And people is like, that weirdo right there on the corner is Ulysses. It's somebody son, he's a faggot.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't understand that to be a really, really, really good artist, you do have to transcend masculinity and femininity.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be a strictly masculine or strictly feminine artist. You know, because like I talk about God too much, bro, but I know God is just not masculine or feminine, but just is. You know, and you have to just be. You know, if you really want to make art from a completely open heart, you cannot pretend that you're 100% masculine or 100% feminine, because nobody is.
It's because we got no gender. To be honest, gender is just some construction we make to like figure out like, okay, you're at this and you're at this. Like we separate. I don't separate something in biological. Who said that word in English?
Biological.
Yeah. Biological.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think at one, like I don't. There's a lot of people saying right now like gender isn't real. You know, like gender isn't really real. It's just a construct, and we're really. And I don't quite agree with that. But I just think like at a certain level, I'm a man, you're a man, that's a woman, that's a man, that's a woman. At a certain level.
Yeah.
But at a deeper level, we're all just human.
Yeah.
And to create from that more universally human experience that transcends gender is deeper, you know, than
of course.
You can make a song, you know, as just a man, but if you make a song just as a human, you're making music from a place that's deeper than your gender. Like you're Mexican and I'm white, but you could make a purely Mexican song. I could make a really white American song, but there's also, we could make a song that would appeal to either Mexicans or white, that's from a deeper place, that's just human.
Yep.
You know, it's not really a religion or a nationality or a gender, it's just human. And so what connects us is deeper than gender, but you know, but gender is still real, it's still useful, you know, we still need
we need some like not targets, is it targets or something like that, but we have to like have names for some things, you know. I understand that.
Exactly, yeah. Like, yeah.
And going back to what you were talking about, like we have to have a balance between our masculinity and your feminine side. I'm so completely agree with that. We cannot be using that in one side. We got like this part right in the middle of your head, you know, like this right here. We have these parties. People call the third eye, blah blah blah, and it's some division, and it's so beautiful because when you understand what side is where, and you can express yourself and the minimal like concept of masculinity or femininity, you are just doing who you are.
Right.
Doesn't matter what you are or who you are.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. Yeah. The balance. It's a balance.
Yeah.
Because well, I just learned recently the women's are not just another being. They are another how you say this dimension. You know, like girls are another dimension. They